YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back on Total War Attila. And I think it's about time that I show you a little bit of campaign. Again, other folks have probably made videos that cover a lot of this, and if you've already seen it, you don't want to see it again, that's fine. No problem there, but I'll just kind of give you my take on what the Grand Campaign has to offer for you in Total War Attila. I have actually played some Sassanid campaign, I played a little bit of Visigoth campaign, and I've played maybe just a few turns of the Franks campaign. And that was on the earlier preview build that had been given to me. I didn't get to make any videos off that build, I just didn't have a chance. But again, other people made it. This one is in better condition from everything I'm seeing. And of course that first preview build didn't have everything available either. And we can actually play all the factions on this this preview build. Oh, I also played a few turns as the Eastern Romans. The Western Romans were not open on that other one to be played as either. So let me just kind of run you through who are the factions you can play in campaign. This has already been announced, but in case you haven't seen it, or you just want me to cover it, I'm going to cover it here for you. So you got the Barbarian Kingdoms, which is going to be either the Franks or the Saxons. They start actually right next to each other in provinces, so you'll probably get the opportunity to kill each other whenever you go into it. Just to kind of give you a quick breakdown, every faction has a cultural trait and a faction trait, which kind of tries to make them slightly unique. For the Franks, the culture trait is New Kingdoms, so you get a building conversion rate. It takes half the time to convert buildings. And then you get Ferocious Warriors, which is pretty interesting. It's a minus 50% penalty from casualties suffered, which is an integrity penalty. And I don't think I've explained integrity to you all yet. When we get on the campaign map, I'll try and do that. But essentially, an army's integrity has a lot to do with its morale. And the integrity is kind of like, are they happy? Are they worn out? Are they beat up? Are they stoked? You know, are they winning? And that's kind of what integrity is, and if the integrity is good, then your morale stays good. So basically what it's saying is that when you get the crap beat out of you as the Franks, your troops will handle it a little better from a morale standpoint. And then they get plus 10% melee damage for every 25% casualties suffered by a unit. So it's like as they are being killed, they become more ferocious, which is very interesting. Their Germanic paganism is their religion. Same thing for the Saxons, Germanic paganism. Their cultural trait, though, is the same, so it's going to be New Kingdoms because they're both barbarian kingdoms. But then they get their own faction trait, which is plus 100 for every plus 100% or plus 100 income for every 10% damage caused to a settlement during a battle. That's crazy. Income plus 100 for every 10% damage caused. So I guess it's encouraging you to really get in there and beat the snot out of your enemies, and then you get plus 4 integrity when raiding. So maybe if your army is losing some integrity, if you go into a raiding stance, you would get a plus 4 bonus, which can help your army kind of, you know, boost up their morale and everything. So that's pretty cool. Sounds like the Saxons really focused in on raiding, and then the Franks for being ferocious warriors, of course. The Great Migrators. So all of these factions start off in a migratory mode, and I will show you what a migratory faction looks like when they start off. You basically start out in Horde mode, which is, I guess, somewhat similar to the Barbarian invasion for Rome 1, but it's much improved in Attila and very fun. So you have the Ostrogoths, the Alans, the Vandals, and the Visigoths, so some fun factions here. Arian Christian is the religion of these guys are Germanic pagans, the Visigoths. So let's start with the Ostrogoths. The cultural trait for all these guys should be the same, so the growth is plus 250. Goodness, when initiating a migration or resettling. So as a migratory faction, you have the option to settle. So it's basically saying we're going to give you some huge growth bonuses when you settle in order to try and build up your province, because when you do settle, you've got to have some money saved, and if you don't, it won't be enough, and you're going to end up in some big trouble. And it's the same thing whenever you're going to migrate. You need to have a little money saved up, and when you go to migrate, you know, you can put yourself in a risky position or potentially a strong position. So again, you'll see it, and I'll try and explain it a little. So you got Inheritors of Rome for the Ostrogoths. So no instability when occupying settlements from Roman factions. Now that's pretty cool. That's going to really make it easy to go after the Romans. And here's the really cool one. They can recruit Roman units and settlements with Roman military buildings. So if you go in and take a settlement with a Roman military building, you can recruit their units out of it. So very interesting faction trait for the Ostrogoths. Promises to be a lot of fun, and it sounds like it works on both Eastern Roman and Western Roman areas. You got the Alans. And if we take a look at it, Sarmatian horsemanship, so battle experience gain rate plus 100% for cavalry units, so their cavalry is going to level up faster. No post-battle casualties for cavalry units which have routed or withdrawn from battle. That is pretty cool. So their horsemen are going to be very robust. You got the Vandals here. Sea of the Vandals. I want to say the Vandals ended up settling in North Africa, in the Carthago region, actually. I could be wrong. But I want to say they pushed all the way through Iberia and then across into North Africa. Anyway, it says they can recruit superior quality naval units, so that's interesting. And then plus 150% income from raiding and sacking. So again, going to be encouraging you to stay on the move and sack it. Sack it up. Visigoths. So blood money, I like the sound of that. Food plus 10 when migrating through Roman territory. And then income plus 500 from the formation of tributary states. So obviously encouraging you to subjugate other factions. Very cool. Their faction leader is Alaric as well. It's a name I recognize, though I don't know a ton about him from history, so very, very neat. So then you have the nomadic tribes, which is just the Huns, and they also start out in a horde mode. But as you can see, it looks like they start out with some hordes in some different areas here. These over here further to the west, obviously ready to threaten the Eastern Roman Empire by moving down by the Black Sea, and then potentially moving on to the Western Rome, and then being able to maintain your power in the steppes as well, I guess. I actually have not played any campaign with the Huns yet, but we can take a look at it, in fact, if we want. So the conquest, wow, they get a lot of stuff. Plus 25 growth from raising settlements, plus 1 integrity for every war being prosecuted, so declaring war is encouraged with the Huns from an integrity standpoint. Famine, plus 20 food consumption in provinces where the Horde is present. So that's going to be cool. Well, it's going to suck for the faction who's getting it, though. So, be good for the Huns, not so good for the people that they're in their lands. And then death stops foreign replenishment in provinces where the Horde is. That is insane. So when the Huns roll into your province, so if there's a Hun horde in your province, you can't replenish your troops. That's going to make things interesting. I love it. It sounds like a lot of fun. You got the Eastern, or the Roman empires here. So we got East Rome and Western Rome. Western Rome's got a little bit better colors, I think, but the purple is pretty cool for Eastern Rome. So let's take it out. We didn't look at the cultural trait for them, Scourge of God. So minus 10, or enemy morale is minus 10 when fighting Christian, or no, it's enemy morale minus 10 when fighting Christian factions. So I guess the Huns get a slight morale debuff, or are they saying that the enemy? I can't tell which one that is. So anyway, the Imperial Legions, so they can levy units from friendly hordes passing through Roman territory. Now that is cool. So if you have hordes that don't hate you coming through, you can levy units out of them. That's pretty neat. Economic powerhouse, so plus 5 interest on treasury at the end of the turn, and and trade tariffs plus 50%. So the Romans are going to make money potentially, and they're going to have let's see. So it's Greek Christian for the East Rome and Latin Christian for West Rome. Eastern Empires right now is just the Sassanids, and these guys are a lot of fun, and I don't know why I have kind of an affinity for the Sassanids, but I did in the Barbarian invasion as well. I really don't know anything about the history of the area over there, but obviously their capital is along the Tigris and the Euphrates, and I don't know if it's modern-day Iraq. It would probably be Iraq, I'm guessing, but I could be wrong. So anyway, that's the area where they're at, and they have the Zoroastrian religion. Very cool faction, very fun. And if you take a look here, so they get plus 1 sanitation for every province capital held, and then King of Kings is their faction trait, plus 200 from percent tribute from puppet states, and these guys have a lot of puppet states, and they can levy up some serious income. And then puppet states levies, so plus 3 of each type of levy unit if you're going to levy units out of a puppet state. As far as just other campaign settings, let me just show you real quick. I mean, nothing really new here. This autosave to cloud feature could potentially be nice because it'll save to your Steam cloud, and you don't have to worry about losing save files. Battle realism mode's still here, and if some of y'all wonder what that is, it says if it's checked, you'll have to fight battles without the radar map or tooltips. You'll also be able to issue orders when the game is paused, and your cam is restricted within 200 meters of any unit. Really, if you're just looking for additional challenge is what it is. You have advisor help and show AI moves, of course, too. And then if you look at the victory objectives, This is a little bit new as well. They have what's called a minor victory, which is cool. It's kind of like a short campaign from Shogun 2 or Rome. They didn't have it in Rome 2, I don't believe. So you can do a minor victory, military victory, cultural victory, or divine triumph. And obviously they are successively more difficult to achieve. But I like this because it gives me some flexibility as a caster, because I can say, hey, we're going to do a minor victory campaign with such and such faction, or we may do a military victory campaign with such and such faction, or we may do a divine triumph. So we can decide that as we move into the campaigns, and you'll decide how much you like which one it is that I'm doing. Right now I plan on starting off with a Sassanid campaign. I've been asked, or the Creative Assembly asked us not to make Let's Play videos with the preview build, so it's probably because they honestly want us to wait until the actual build comes out, because I'm assuming that up until the release of the game there could be some changes made. But they haven't stopped us from playing the campaign and getting used to it, and I'm really enjoying a Sassanid campaign right now. Some of you are like, Air, you gotta do the Romans, you gotta do the Romans. I will do the Romans. Here was my plan for the time being. The Sassanids have a nice, easy start position. They control a lot of land, have a lot of puppet states. You can see the puppet states here in the lighter red. They're a good faction to learn with, from what I've seen. They have solid income, they have nice units, and they're also fun in the sense that you get to go head-to-head with the East Romans early on in the game, and they hold a lot of power. Also, in Rome 2, I played a little while with Parthia, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this part of the map, and so I figured that the Sassanids would be a great one for me to start with. We get to be in this area of the map again. It'll kind of be a good first campaign where I can learn, you can learn, we can all take away stuff from it, and then from there I thought it would be fun to play either one of the migrators or the Huns, and just kind of, you know, up the ante a little bit, make it a little more interesting, come with a Barbarian faction, because I didn't really get to represent many Barbarian factions on Rome 2. We could also consider playing as the Franks or the Saxons there. These guys can actually migrate too, I believe. They just don't start off in a migration. And then I wanted to plop over to a Roman Empire. If the game's going to undergo any patches, which I'm not saying that because I think it's broken or anything else, the game's actually functioning very well. I'm just saying it seems like Total War games undergo some patches. I want to save the Roman campaign for after I've gotten better, after we started to figure things out, after some of the patches are made. I don't want it to get interrupted, kind of like my Carthage campaign was on Rome 2. I should have waited on the Carthage campaign and held it till the end when the game was in its best shape. So I don't want to make that mistake twice, so I will be saving East Rome and West Rome for then. So be patient. That's kind of my plan. We can modify it a little bit if you really want me to, but that's why I think it would be good to roll it out this way, and hopefully you all think so too. So let's jump onto the camp, or actually, that'll be my quick, well, no, I don't want to make you wait for another video. Let's just jump in and take a look at what a migratory faction looks like real quick. I'm going to start up one with the Ostrogoths, and I am going to skip the intro, because again, I don't know if CA really wants this out there yet, because it may get used in some of their marketing and other stuff like that. I have no idea, so I am going to skip through all this stuff. And there are intros for every faction. There's introduction material, so I'm going to be pushing escape a whole bunch just to make sure I skip it. Alright, so there we go. I skipped through everything. Not going to throw that out there yet. They won't have any problem with me showing it when the game releases, and they may not now, but I'm just doing it just in case. Because again, I don't want to abuse the kindness that they've let us have the preview build, so just trying to do my best to make sure that don't trample over anything that they don't want me to. So you start off, as you can see, as a migratory faction, and I've got a couple of hordes here, and that's all. Yeah, that's all I have. Whoa, the Visigoths. So yeah, we can see the Visigoths there as well. So that's what it's showing us. But we're just on the north side of the. Is this the Danube? I don't know my European rivers very well. If it's not, I apologize, but start just here on the north side of the river, north of Thracia. You can see Thessalonica here. So the Constantinople is not very far away from us. In fact, I want to say it's one of these two settlements right here. So I mean, you start off fairly close to the Eastern Roman Empire. You have a couple of hordes. Generally, you start out with quite a few troops. You can see that we've got javelin men, we've got bows, Gothic war band, some spears, some cav, we've got mounted war band. And it's going to be pretty similar with the other army. So in Horde mode, of course, you can kind of just move around. We're actually sitting within the territory of the Gepids here. But I mean, the thing is some of you may be tempted, like, oh, check it out, we can go whack the Gepids and take Romula and have a city. That would be a very bad idea. It costs money to settle down, and it's not likely that this one small settlement is going to support your hordes. So you have to be very You have to be very thoughtful about when it's time to settle down, where you want to go, and then there's other things to consider as a migratory faction. If you come in here and turn on the fertility, you know, Dacia is fertility level 4. It's not bad, right? May not be a bad place to settle, but also remember that weather is going to play a part in the game, and the snow line will slowly move south, so I don't know how that'll affect Dacia. May not be a safe bet to just hunker down here. You can also use the map to search things, so you can see that they have access to salt here, and I believe that's lead or iron, one of the two, and then you can actually see there's gold down here as well. So I mean, taking a look at the map and kind of making a decision about where you want to go is going to be important. You can always go in here to your objectives as well. And if you run to the victory objectives, so again, if we wanted, say, like a minor victory with the Ostrogoths, we have to control the following, maintain control. Yeah, all 3 of these provinces. So Dardania, Dalmatia, which is a little further over here, and Pannonia. So basically, you would just have to control this region that you start in. So, you know, very fun. Kind of a way to just get introduced to campaign. You don't have to go through a massive, huge scale campaign. You got to research. So here's your goals, basically, if you want to do that. So you have to do it. You have to be alive until 425 at least. Control 30 settlements in total. You have to control these provinces. Research 10 technologies. You have to be able to produce 30,000 in total from all your buildings. The currents, it says 3,000. So basically that means you're going to have to take these settlements and build up what the buildings are producing for you, and then have 60 military units. You currently have 30. You can actually see that we're losing money at the beginning of this, so you're going to have to make some moves and go get some money. So yeah, you do have some neat options though. The cool thing is if you select a horde, you've got the army view here, but you've also got the building view. These guys kind of like carry their buildings with them, and it's very neat. That's the one thing that really sets this apart from Horde mode and Barbarian Invasion. You couldn't replenish your troops, you couldn't earn money, you couldn't do any of that stuff in Barbarian Invasion. The only way to earn money was to loot the crap out of enemy settlements, which, don't get me wrong, was fun in its own right. But this basically gives you the opportunity to actually kind of have some buildings that move with your hordes. Now, while you're building a new building, I believe you have to sit still. But once you've completed it, you can keep moving, and the buildings and the bonuses that those bring come with you. And you can build a lot of buildings, up to 10, which is very different because you have limited buildings in the settlement. So this actually gives you kind of a benefit as a horde faction. You can have a lot of these buildings and get a lot of benefits from those buildings. So it's something to keep in mind. Now, there are some things that have improved UI-wise, and I guess I could show you those just real quick. But so some of the things that I really like improvement-wise, so the tech tree is easier to understand. You can see it here. It's all mapped out. So let's say that eventually you want to get to this unified military, which unlocks all your best stuff. So obviously you're going to have to research pretty much everything on here to get here. Some research actually costs money, and you'll see those as they pop up. This one, so see right there, it takes 10,000 talents to research that. But the nice thing is that you can see the clear path to any research that you want to unlock, and say, like, for instance, I want to unlock this, I can click it and it draws that path through for you, and you also get bonuses for completing each level, kind of like you did in Rome 2. So very neat. So your research goes on there. And yeah, it's not, the research isn't specific to a horde faction either, but the army integrity that I mentioned earlier is right here. So you can actually see as a horde, your army integrity suffers a little bit, because think about it, you're migrating, you're walking through enemy territory, so you have to kind of immediately as a horde come in and do some focus on buildings that are going to improve your integrity. And you can actually find those type of buildings by just kind of mousing through and see, look, they're plus integrity from lavish tents. So apparently my men want some nicer tents to stay in. And there's actually a building here that's having a negative impact on integrity, a couple of them. So the integrity thing can be compensated for with the hordes by building the right stuff. So again, I can sit here and I can come in and I can build lavish tents, and it'll start to turn that stuff around. And that's something you probably want to do right away, because if you lose all your integrity, then it's very easy for your army to be routed and killed, and then your faction's gone. And that's going to be the challenge of being a migratory faction. So very cool indeed. And I may try and bring you a little bit of gameplay of what it looks like when you settle these guys down. I don't have time to get to that. Well, yeah, I mean, we could, hold on just a second, we'll end a turn. Well, no, I don't have time to show it to you now. Actually, I gotta get going. I will show you more if you're interested in this, but it's a very interesting game mode, and I can show you off a little bit more campaign stuff overall at another point as well, but just trying to keep these in bite-sized chunks for you in the videos so that you can digest it and kind of get a look at it. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. this is kind of a look at campaign in general and you know, how a migratory faction works. If you have other questions, let me know in the comments. I can come back, I can revisit a few things and show you more if you want to see more. Of course, you got your buttons down here, you got an overview, and this is your stance basically for the army. And you know, obviously if you go into certain stances you wouldn't be able to build buildings and other stuff like that, but so it's very similar to whenever you have like an actual settlement. You can actually see whenever you're building a building, you can see all their little tents and stuff where the Horde settle at. Very cool actually, and it's defensible too. Your encampment is defensible if you get attacked. So anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for now. Hope you all are excited for some awesome migrations.